GuitarLessons.com, the #1 name in guitar lessons online.
Welcome to GuitarLessons.com. I am Nate Savage, and in this lesson we're going to talk about ear training and intervals. Now all interval is, it's the distance between a note and another note, and that could be anything from like a major second, which is a very small interval. It's just one step starting from wherever you start. Say we start on the C note right here, the 3rd fret of our A string, go up a whole step, that'd be a major second. Or we can have a wide interval like an octave, like if you have that same C and have a C an octave higher, that's an octave. It's just the distance between two notes. So let's go through our major scale and look at all the intervals in a major scale. The first interval is starting on a C. It's a major second from a C to a D. Learning intervals, the sound of intervals is a lot like learning Spanish or another foreign language. Eventually, when you hear a second, you'll start to recognize it as a second. So if I'm learning Spanish and I hear the word baño, I automatically know eventually that that means bathroom or whatever. So it's kind of the same thing as learning a foreign language. So if you think about regular C major scale and think about that first interval, get that in your head to where you start to recognize that interval is a major second. That's the first step into just interval recognition. So the next interval in a major scale is going to be a major third, and that is from starting on your C, go to an E, get that sound in your head. And one of the things I associate with a major third is if you ever listen to The Simpsons or watch The Simpsons, the little part that goes on that little phrase, that little melodic phrase, the first interval is a third. So start to listen for thirds in your playing. The next one we're going to look at is a fourth. That's the next note in the scale. That'd be an F. All I'm playing is the C right here, and then that F on the next string, the D string. The next interval we have is a fifth, the 5th note of the scale. So if we're going up the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Start on your C. Get that sound in your head, and when I think of a fifth, I always think. So if you think Star Wars, that first interval is a fifth. The next interval we have is a sixth. So if you're going up your C scale, starting on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. C, A. That's the sound of a sixth, a major sixth. And the little thing I hear in my head when I think about a major sixth is NBC, if you ever watch TV. So the first interval in that little melodic phrase is a major sixth. The last one we're going to do is a seventh. Basically that's just from a C to a B. And what I think of in my head when I'm trying to envision in my head a major seventh interval, it's just the sound that I get on the last note of my scale when I'm playing a major scale when it wants to resolve up to the octave. So those are the intervals in a major scale. Now let's learn 4 more intervals really quickly that aren't in the major scale. Let's start with a minor third. So if you start on a C, and instead of a major third, you're going to flat that major third a half of a step to where you're making it into a minor third. So start trying to get that sound in your head, and you should recognize that interval as the first part of a minor triad. just a regular minor chord. The next interval that we're going to learn is called an augmented fourth or diminished fifth, and a lot of times you hear it called a tritone. Let me play it for you real quick. It sounds really dissonant when you play it together. And a lot of times, if you're hearing metal music, you'll hear this interval a lot. It's a very unique interval, and that's what I think about when I hear a tritone or augmented fourth. It's just kind of a metal vibe. The next interval we're going to talk about is a minor sixth, and that sounds like this right here. And I like to associate this metal song that I know from a band that I like with this song, and the riff goes like this. So get the sound of a minor sixth in your head, and work on recognizing that. The next interval we're going to learn is a minor seventh. That sounds a little bit like this. And if you're into Star Trek, it's the first little interval in the opening theme. So that's a real easy way to remember what a minor seventh sounds like. So let's finish our intervals off with an octave. Just playing two C's. And that's really easy to remember the sound of because it sounds the exact same as the first note you played, just one octave higher. So what you should do is come up with your own associations for these intervals so you can start recognizing them and memorizing the sounds of them. And the longer you do this and the more you work on them, you'll start to realize that you won't need the associations anymore. You'll just start to recognize the intervals right off the bat.